next year, it's really not cutting anything except the money that is no longer needed for those lines for a variety of reasons. One reason might be that our Fine and Performing Arts Center group, thanks to Ms. Gaynor, has received a grant that's paying for a lot of the plays and trips. That was never done before. We had to pay for it ourselves, so that's being spent. We don't have to spend it. Another issue that came up is one of our staff members at the middle school told the kids that there was no forensics at Dover High School. That's completely erroneous, except at the high school we call it the debate team. We look at the forensics as preparation for the debate. You're nodding your head no, and I'm telling you what it is. It's the way that we've always done it. When we asked the teacher if she told the kids, look at, we don't have the forensics, but we do have a formalized debate, she had not mentioned that. So I think that might have been a source of some of the miscommunication. And I'm not alleging any kind of nefarious or negative intent upon that. I think there's just a communication where it wasn't fully explained what is being done. So in terms of are we cutting back on any of the activities or programs for the students, absolutely not. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, I would challenge you, look at the posting for last year, look at the posting for this year, and you'll see everything is fully subsidized as it was in the past. So it's that other line that I think provided the confusion because that was rolled into the line above it, which might have led you to believe there was a cut in personnel. You did mention about the school play that there was no producer and that cut back on the dinner for the night. I'd like to thank Mrs. Schauer for purchasing a lot of the food this year. It went for the students at their dress rehearsal. I know previous years I was supposed to do another night of food, which I donate, and that's gone on every year. I'm not sure if you are aware of that or not, but this year, because of the inclement weather issues that we had, the one night of rehearsal was canceled. So the whole idea that the producer impacted the dinner, no. Now, did we have a producer last year? No, we did not. Did we want one? Yes. We advertised for it. We had the money. Nobody applied for the position. We're hopeful that this year people apply for the position and take part. But we can't demand that a staff member assume a job that they have no desire in assuming. If we had that authority, it might be tempting at times. But we simply, that was the truth behind that. And once again this year, even though we weren't able to hire anybody from last year, this year that wasn't the posting that went out. And I think Ms. Gaynor could probably verify that every position that we had in the Fine and Performing Arts or in any of our extracurricular or our coaching activities, not one thing was cut. So I apologize if there was some confusion regarding that other line, but the charges that we were capricious in the answers and not thorough, I certainly do reject, because we did make every effort to try to explain to you what the situation was. I guaranteed you there were no cuts. I continue to guarantee there are no cuts in any of the extracurricular activities. As a matter of fact, it would be a good time, I think, to congratulate the board, because we're one of the few districts around that are not charging a participation fee. You can go, you mentioned surrounding districts for the reading. What we didn't mention is if you go to the SAT programs, they would charge $1,100, $1,500. If you join the band, some of the local districts are charging up to $600. There's computer or technology use that is being charged in a lot of districts. We don't charge for AP testing anymore, and next year that'll be completely free for all students to take an AP test, because we didn't want to preclude students from the ability to take a test because of their financial situation. Also, the SAT test will be completely free next year, correct? All right, just want to be sure. So if you look at the variety of services and offerings through the Dover District, how about for once we just say, our kids have the advantage of so many things that other districts don't have. Perhaps it's a time to rejoice and be happy that we're able to provide these valuable services to our students. Now, it's true we no longer offer SAT courses because we're in keeping with college boards and recommending their alternative site. In fact, it looks like SATs might be part of the school day for next year. So we're working very hard to try to ensure that all our students receive an optimum education at really no charge. Now, we had the National Honor Society, and that was a very nice dinner. I don't know if anybody here got a chance to attend it in the audience. Quite often, National Honor Societies are not known for hosting a dinner to make it a more family and community-centered event. Our biliteracy group, thanks to Mr. Quiones, outstanding night that we had. That was a full dinner. We welcomed in the parents. National Honor Society, we went from an average attendance of 35 to 154. Thank you. The Schoolmaker's my good numbers person here. I want to be accurate. So when you look at the expansive nature of what we've done to try to reach out to the community and provide the services to them, I think there's some very valuable things that the district is doing. Now, does that mean that we're the alpha and omega? No, there's certainly more that we can do all the time. We have to constantly reassess. We have to reassess our summer reading program. And also the reality is, when you look at the challenges both with the state budget, because we're speaking as of right now, but don't forget with the governor, he did give a 100-day limit and said he might revisit the school funding. We're looking at the federal government. We're Title I. We hear all kinds of rumors about how Title I, and we use Title I basically for class size reduction teachers. So when you look at all these elements, might they change and become a challenge for us in the future? Yes, but that's why we work so hard to put ourselves in a financial situation that we're not putting our future at risk by taking out bonds and leasing equipment and things like that. We're not mortgaging our future to pay for the present. So we're doing everything we can, and I understand the concern, but we're doing very hard to try to meet the needs of all of our students. I think I have it.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to make one very brief, I want to be sure that the board is completely clear on this because of the accusation made from someone in the audience that it is clear that I contacted our field representative from New Jersey School Boards to ask for help with the problems that were arising at the board meetings. We contacted them for help. The policy regarding social media was something that we did not have. I was not even aware that there was a separate policy for board members available. She offered that to us and suggested strongly that we use that. The code of conduct, again, something I had never heard in all of the years of training that I had gone through from New Jersey School Boards. I had never heard that there could be a separate, because we are covered under the code of conduct with the state of New Jersey and the code of ethics. That's our #1 guiding Bible. I had never heard that there was a code of conduct for board members themselves. And I thought that it was going to be an important tool for us to stay focused on our task at hand, which is focused on objective goals that we must meet by the end of the school year. And also to clarify, if in the community, if there are parents that have students who feel that an activity has been cut, if that is what the playground talk is, if that's what the PTA talk is, if that's what people are saying at ShopRite, please have them contact their school principal so that it can be clarified what it is that their concern is. If there is someone who feels that an activity has been cut, that a teacher has been cut, that a club has been cut, as Ms. Colligan said, I'll reiterate that there are many clubs that there's not a lot of publicity about, but there are clubs and activities that go on. Ms. Gaynor-Montanti, I'm sure, could enlighten us with the change in numbers, the increase in numbers. For example, the choir, which has exploded in numbers. Just a few years ago, there were only 10 or 12 or 8, I want to even say, choir members, and this was just a few years ago, 1 or 2 years ago. Yes?
We've gone from 16 in the choir to, I think, we're up to 78.
Thank you for that clarification. So those things, there has to be accommodations made for them. We can't just go out there with 16 robes on and not 78 robes on. So there's robes that have to be purchased and updated and dry cleaned and made ready for those students. Equipment, sheet music that has to be purchased because, again, we pay for the copies of the sheet music. We pay for the number, the quantity. We pay for the license to use all of these things. So there are costs in all this. All the board has seen and what the board has approved have been increases in extracurricular activities. So if there's public out there who feel that there have been decreases and do not believe what we are saying, that there have been no cuts, then please have them contact the school principal so that we can resolve that issue. And I think that's it. Any other board members?
Thank you, Madam President. I have 3 questions, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Becker and Ms. Phillips, for explaining a little more about the summer reading. And if and when we reassess, Mr. Becker, you presented 2 options. Might we have a 3rd option where the summer classes for the students that need it continues, as well as adding a summer reading list in partnership with whoever we may need to partner
I'm
with?
going to interrupt you right then and there. That's micromanagement.
Well, actually, if I just want to point out, that was actually one of the, that's what he said was one of the options. So
As a board member,
he already said that
though,
was one of the options.
right, as a board member, we don't suggest the programs. We let our administrators suggest to us what the programs
Let me
should
rephrase
be.
the question then. Mr. Becker, I apologize. I thought I heard only 2 options: summer reading classes or summer lists. Can both be an option? Did I mishear you? Can we continue the summer classes and add a summer reading list to benefit the high school? I apologize, that's not what I heard. So thank you for clarifying if I misheard.
We'll take a very close look at all the options and see what we can do. I would be foolish for sitting here promising that in 2018 we could offer, we don't even know we'll be able to offer the regular summer school program, as the funding has changed, and I'm not going to promise things that we can't deliver or I'm unsure about. So, but certainly all that will be taken into account, and I'm fascinated, Ms. Claret and Kim, the great work that they're doing, to see what we end up with, and could it be a pilot for the rest of the district. I think everything that we do is constantly subject to review. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes things work and we don't want to touch them, other times things are not working well and we have to revise them regardless of the feedback that we get. So we're doing what we can, but that's, I think we'll look at the whole picture and just do a complete reassessment like we do with almost every curriculum and program that we have.
Thank you. And then my second question, thank you for explaining with the cuts. And I heard, and again, please explain if I misheard, that actually it wasn't really a cut, it was a surplus from one place that you took back. So thanks to the grants that our art supervisor, and I apologize if that's...
Janet.
I'm sorry?
Janet? Gaynor?
Gaynor Montanti. Thank you. That was Gaynor Montanti. Did such a good job on getting us some grants. We had a surplus, and it just looks that way because of the way we lined item it. So where is that surplus going? Where are we using that 22% surplus?
Do you remember when we had the budget hearing? Remember we had the budget hearing?
I do.
And what happened is we said the budget is like a living document. There will be things, money will be moved around all year long to where it's needed to be used. Just like we just saw right here tonight, we just approved it. Did you see that list? Because there's a whole list of transfers that have to be made. Okay, this was budgeted for a certain amount, but look, we have a lot there, but over here, we need the money. It's the same exact concept, the same concept.
So then that 22%
Right.
is moved elsewhere,
Yes.
but you can't like pinpoint it because there's constant transfer.
Right, it's going to be transferred, and if co-curricular, what would be the greatest thing is, let's say the music program grows. Let's say there's so many students joining different things. Well, then we have to put money back in there, and that's how that's done. Because the focus of this board has always been, and will always be, to get the money to the students, and that has always been.
Thank you, Ms. Laurie. And then just the last question on the producer. Do we have any ideas, or have we thought about why maybe we didn't have applications for the producer position? And I'm not familiar with the position or the arts or funding, but do you suspect that maybe we didn't have enough money to offer someone that it would entice them?
There
or-
is a stipend, a set stipend amount, if you'll refer back to your
To the
contracts, our
contract.
employment contracts for our unions.
Uh-huh.
The employment contracts, you have copies of those. There's set stipend amounts that are the same, and we approve those when we're paying them. For example, let's say color guard advisor is $850 or whatever it is. That's a set amount that's in the contract. It's a contracted, negotiated amount. The stipend positions are posted. We can't force people to
Right.
apply for them. If someone is busy, who had been doing it for years, is busy and can't do it that year for whatever reason, we can't force them to do it.
Sure.
And we hope that other people take it up. For example, we just did one this evening for assistant to the marching band. This is a new person. The person who normally does it every single year is not doing it this year, can't do it this summer. So there's someone else new who applied for the position. That's a perfect example. Again, the items are posted. Anyone of our teachers, staff that wants to apply for them, and we hope that they do apply for it. Because it leaves a gap. When these things are not filled, it leaves a gap.
Is it possible to get someone from the outside, or must it be
Well,
staff?
We hired a director from the outside this year because the play had to go on and there was no director either. So the director was from the outside. But we have to open it to staff in-house first because it is a union contracted position. We have to open it up to the union, correct, Mr. Becker first, Mr. Crute? We have to open it up to those people first, and then when no one does it, if we're in jeopardy of not having something like the play, which is something that we must have for the students, we must have, especially now with our fine and performing arts department. Not having a play would not be an option. We had to hire from the outside.
So we didn't open it to the outside for the producer, or we did and it still wasn't filled?
It just wasn't
It
filled.
just wasn't filled.
Although we've seen now so far, because right now we're advertising for next year, and we are seeing more of an interest in some of the positions by people who left, and now they decided they'd like to come back in and join. So I think that's very positive.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you very much, everyone. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh my God, what's the next question?